everyone, and welcome back to another episode here at the Damage Report under lockdown. I've got two bits of good news for you, and that's it. There's no other good news. The first bit of good news is that it's Friday. Yay. The second is this. Ana Kasparian, how's it going?
Hey, everybody.
Hey, so
it's
happy to have you
going.
here.
It's going. It's good to be here. It's a pretty crazy news day. So I hesitate to say it's going well. It's really not going well in the country, and it's pretty terrifying.
Yeah. Last night was really something. Every part of it was awful, and we're gonna break down a lot of different parts of it. But don't worry, we are gonna have a little bit of fun too. We're gonna talk about some other things in the news. Very excited for Ana to throw somebody in the trash for garbage people this week. The rare Ana.
It's among my favorite things to do.
I know, it is funny. I'm trying to think of what could be a version of this for you. I don't know, like covering someone in salt. I don't know, something like that. But anyway, it should be a lot of fun. Everybody who's already coming into the chat, thank you so much for doing that. Please hit the like button and share the stream if you haven't, so that more people know that the stream is live and can come and get involved in the conversation. Want have a little bit of backup in what's probably going to be years of political conflict that's going to be really, really hard. Did want to let you know a couple of things before we get launched into the news. One, we have just a couple of days left in the TYT May fundraising. So if you are able to help us out, keep us afloat, go to tyt.com/go, and you can do that there. Also, you've been seeing throughout the week, I've been wearing some of my favorite new t-shirts available at shoptyt.com. Right now, I've got a classic on. That is the Bernie So Punk. But we've got a bunch of other awesome ones available too. Go to shoptyt.com and you can pick that up as well. You may not be going outside, but you still have to cover your torso. So this is one way to do that. And with that, anyway, Ana, why don't we launch into the news? And everybody understand, some of this is going to be, like, we're going to show you some video that's going to be pretty rough. We're going to be talking about some really dark stuff and just trying to get through it together. So just bear that in mind. The next part is going to be pretty tough. Last night, if you're like me, you were watching the live coverage of what was going on in Minneapolis. You were seeing the developments, some on social media live, and it was a pretty dark moment for America. Seeing how this obviously justified and understandable outpouring of anger at our fundamentally effed up system being met with not only condescension and ignorance, but even threats of violence. And so Ana and I are going to get into a lot of that. Before we launch into the specifics, though, Ana, I know that you, like me, you were watching that roll in. What was the experience like last night?
So I had a mix of emotions. Most of the feelings I had toward the way that these protests have been handled is a mix of fear and rage, because what we're seeing is, here's what I thought about the most. The fact that so many of our resources have gone toward funding our military and basically enabling this police state. And we've basically militarized our police force in this country. And for a very long time, I think Americans sat back and were complicit in our military brutalizing the people of other countries. And we should have known that this could eventually turn around and impact us. We should have been outraged when we were complicit, when our government was active in, and a portion of our citizenry was complicit in the mutilization and murder of people abroad. But we shouldn't be surprised that we're also experiencing that. Specifically, the most powerless people are experiencing that right now. And some of the scenes from last night, were terrifying, because there were multiple examples of police driving by innocent protesters who weren't doing anything wrong. They weren't breaking windows. They weren't even blocking the street. Nothing. They weren't doing anything wrong. There's this one video that I saw on Twitter where a police officer in an SUV drives by, just starts pepper spraying people.
Yeah, just rolls down the window,
this is
holds it out.
commonplace. This is Yeah, it's commonplace when it comes to these types of protests. And I'm not going to in any way humor these disingenuous arguments about how, oh, the protesters are looting or they're damaging property. That is not what this discussion is about. This is a discussion about a community that has been ignored, a community that has been brutalized for a very long time in this country. And there has been no form of protest that has been deemed acceptable by those in positions of power or by conservatives.
Yeah.
You have Colin Kaepernick kneeling peacefully to raise awareness of and to protest the police brutality in this country, and he was met with absolute viciousness. It doesn't matter if the protests are peaceful, it doesn't matter if they're violent. The whole effort that I'm seeing by those focusing on the so-called violence that's taking place is just an effort to delegitimize their very legitimate concerns.
Yeah.
And that's what the conversation is, and that's what I want to focus on.
100%. I mean, like, Kaepernick, obviously, like, we know, you know, how he talked to vets and things like that before starting it and try to figure out the best way to do it and all of that. But it was so perfect because in doing that and getting, like, the unified right wing in vicious, like, mouth-frothing rage at him, he was silently kneeling. There is nothing less in-your-face, bombastic, threatening, anything that you could come up with. What was he supposed to do, lie face down on the ground? I don't know. He almost was. And when they say that that is too much, then what are you supposed to do? I mean, I get what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to shut up and not protest at all. Or if you do it off in a building somewhere where I can't see it and can't hear about it, and it can't get any coverage, and it certainly can't lead to any change. That might be acceptable, but none of this will be. And so when they are attacking these protests, it's very much you know, an ideology that cried wolf moment. I don't buy anything that you say. I don't buy anything that you're saying about this. And the thing too is, I get that they focus on, well, we're mad about the fires, we're mad about the looting or whatever. And I can see in the chat, one or two people are like, I don't need to pay attention to any of this because a window was broken or whatever. And the thing is, as many people are describing that are on the ground right now, there are lots of reason to believe that quite a bit of this, perhaps not all, but quite a bit of windows being broken, buildings being burned down, cannot necessarily be traced to the actual protesters. I mean, not only we understand that there is opportunistic crime in these sorts of situations where people come in and sort of co-opt a moment for themselves, but there's also reason to believe that it might very well have been police or allies of police that are being involved in some of this. Leaders on the ground are saying there was a group of 6 white men that they were trying to stop from doing this sort of stuff, but they were continuing to do it. They were not leaders in the movement or anything like that. And then, look, I will preface this video by saying we don't necessarily know who this person is, but I want to show you something that was going around on social media last night or yesterday, a really weird situation with this individual with an umbrella going around smashing windows. Take a look.
It's Minneapolis, 3rd Precinct. That's the police station right there. That's why I'm doing this shit, guys. What the? I ain't got part of that shit. I zoomed in. I'll zoom out a little bit. Those cops will come for you if you're pulling that crap.
Guy just came with a hammer and smashed the windows.
You wanna go? What's up? Somebody hold my blunt. Hey! Somebody hold my blunt. I'm gonna go. Hey! Are you a fuck up?
Okay, so it continues on from there for a while. Now, there was a belief that this was a particular police officer, Jacob Peterson. We don't know for sure. The police department, which takes a very long time to do any sort of investigation, immediately came back and said, we know for sure that this was not Jacob Peterson. He has an alibi. And when people asked to interview Jacob Peterson about what he had been up to, the cop said, no, he doesn't need to give an interview. He has an alibi, or we say he does. I have no idea who that individual was. I have a feeling it probably wasn't someone whose driving passion in life is civil rights and the battle for an end to police brutality, if I had to guess.
I'm sure we're going to talk about it later, but I need to reference it in the context of this story. Minneapolis police officers arrested a CNN journalist who happens to be Black and Latino, and then proceeded to arrest his crew. And I bring that up because they then later tried to justify what happened with lies. And I think that's important to keep in mind when you hear any type of statement from the Minneapolis Police Department. They have, just completely mishandled this entire situation. They have tried to cover up what they've done. It took mass outrage for any real consequences for the police officers who were on the scene and took part in what happened in the murder of George Floyd. And even now, till this day, the cop, Derek Chauvin, who had his knee on the neck of George Floyd, which led to his murder, his death, has not been arrested. Mm-hmm. But a Black CNN reporter has been arrested. I mean, they let him go shortly after. But I think that's relevant. I think that imagery is something that we should all keep in mind as we hear statements and defenses coming from the Minneapolis Police Department.
Yeah, and we'll show some of that video in a little bit. I have no idea who that individual is. People are saying that his ex-wife confirmed that it was him, but I'm not a ridiculous grifter trying to just make people believe that I know everything about the universe, so I'm not going to state with any certainty that I know who that individual was. But again, I don't think it was a legitimate protester who was concerned about the killing of George Floyd. I just don't. I don't know what the umbrella's about. People say it's a thing that undercover cops use to identify themselves to police helicopters. I have no idea. But anyway, if you believe that continue.
I'm sorry. I have to add one more thing. You cannot bring a human back to life after you murder them. Mm-hmm. When they're gone, they're gone. Okay? George Floyd had a young daughter who will never see her father again. There's no way to undo what Derek Chauvin did in murdering George Floyd.
Yeah.
I get that people are angry about property damage, but honestly, I'm just not interested in having a debate about the value of material goods and property right now. This is a discussion about human lives which have not been valued in this country. And yes, absolutely, it has to do with race. But make no mistake, this has to do with the powerless. And that includes people of all colors, okay? Doesn't matter if you're white, doesn't matter if you're Black, doesn't matter if you're Asian. If you are poor, if you are living in poverty and struggling in this country, this system as it stands today will continue to beat you down. Yeah. And we're now in a situation where people literally feel like they have nothing to lose. So we have to ask ourselves, how did we get to this situation? Because when people are powerless and they feel that they have nothing left to lose, that's when this type of violence breaks out. Yeah. Okay, so we need to have a discussion about what to change systemically. And I'm not talking about nonsense, on the surface change. I'm talking about real systemic change. A system in place right now that allows for someone like Amy Klobuchar to refuse to prosecute Derek Chauvin when he had been accused 18 different times of excessive force. And now she's turning around and talking about how there must be prosecution, there must be consequences. Well, you could have pursued consequences when you were in the position of power to do it, but she didn't. We have political grifters all over the place, both Democrat and Republican. And we need bold systemic change, period.
Yeah, so I'm seeing people are referencing in the comments that the police officer has now been arrested. I have not been able to find confirmation yet. If anybody wants to say where they're seeing that, feel free. It's difficult for us to check in the middle of a live broadcast, but we will try to do that. Obviously I agree with you, Anna, and thank you for that. Let's turn to another aspect of this. While last night all of the chaos was reigning and things were happening. We can't say for sure who was doing it because there was incredibly suspicious behavior going on. Donald Trump decided to weigh in, and here is what he had to say. I can't stand back and watch this happen to a great American city, Minneapolis. A total lack of leadership. Either the very weak radical left mayor, Jacob... God, all these tweets are filled with absolute nonsense. That's so disconnected from reality. Get his act together and bring the city under control, or I will send in the National Guard and get the job done right. These thugs are dishonoring the memory of George Floyd, and I won't let that happen. Just spoke to Governor Tim Walz and told him that the military is with him all the way. Any difficulty and we will assume control, but when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Thank you. Okay, so it's 20% more explicit now. Who Trump is, what his movement is, what they want, and what he plans to deliver for them. We are supposed to read that tweet and pretend that he's just the same as every other politician, that it's all the same, it's all equal. He's not scary or dangerous in any fundamental way. He's only using his social media to broadcast to more than 50 million people. I think it might be 80 million followers of his, that looters should be shot, that he might send in the military to begin killing these protesters. Or, hypothetically, we understand the nature of stochastic terrorism. I mean, we've already got professional agitators on the ground there. Maybe some militia members in the area, some white supremacists. Your leader, the guy you worship, is saying looters should be shot. And so, if people get shot today, if they get killed, are we supposed to just say, seems crazy to think that that might be linked to Donald Trump saying that looters should be shot? It's absurd to state that. We had to watch this roll in, and we're going to have the defense because he's being defended, because there's nothing he can say, no call for violence so explicit that they won't defend it. But that's what we had last night from the president. Shoot the looters.
Donald Trump never misses an opportunity to pour gasoline on the fire. This is what he wants. Don't make the mistake of thinking that Trump is actually concerned about what's happening in Minneapolis today. And by the way, it's not just Minneapolis. There have been protests in other major cities in the US as well.
Yes.
And it's because of this nonstop oppression people have been feeling, especially the most powerless people in this country. And again, if they feel that they have nothing left to lose, if they feel that there is no form of protest that's deemed acceptable by the naysayers, they're going to rebel. And that's what we're seeing in this country right now. And Donald Trump loves it because he can use it to further divide the country in a way that he deems politically advantageous for himself. Mm-hmm. What Trump has done over and over again is incite violence, celebrate violence when it's committed by certain people. If we want to have a discussion about violence in America, I think it's important to talk about state-sponsored violence, which is what we see every single day. The very Republicans, the very lawmakers who are defending Donald Trump's statement are also the same ones who have, and by the way, they're defending Donald Trump's statement and they're criticizing the protesters, but they were never critical of Donald Trump pushing for the death of immigrant children at the border. I mean, how many stories did we read about minors found dead, surrounded in their own vomit in Trump's border cages?
Yeah.
But they didn't care. They didn't care. What about that kind of state-sponsored violence that actually leads to death? Donald Trump loves this. He incites violence all the time. He incited violence when it came to the anti-stay-at-home protesters. He incited violence when it came to those neo-Nazis and white supremacists in Charlottesville, which also led to the murder of a counter-protester, Heather Heyer. Donald Trump's legacy will be riddled, has already been riddled, with instances of murder, death, and violence. So he has absolutely no leg to stand on when he says that he's concerned about the violent actions of protesters in Minneapolis. He's absolutely full of crap.
Yeah, no. No, he wants violence. He just wants a particular type. And more importantly, his movement wants that type. I mean, we can't pretend that there aren't millions of Americans that want the National Guard to go into inner cities and start shooting people. It's crazy, but that is the truth. His movement is thirsty, desperate for violence. That's what they want. Some of them very explicitly. The anti-lockdown protesters with their boogaloo and all that, wanting a civil war or race war or whatever, they're very clear about it. But 10, 100 times as many want it, but won't necessarily put it on a sign and flaunt it. But that's what they want. And it couldn't be more explicit. I mean, as many people have pointed out, you just saw his tweets about the protests in Minneapolis. Take a look at his tweets from less than a month ago when he said, the governor of Michigan should give a little and put out the fire. These are very good people, but they are angry. They want their lives back again, safely. See them, talk to them, make a deal. The difference was that those were angry white people toting guns, mad that they can't go to a bakery or get their hair done or something. There, you have to give them whatever they want. I mean, sure, they're bringing semi-automatic rifles and they're going into the Capitol building and implying violence against the government of Michigan. But just give them whatever they want. Come on, they're good people. But when people get angry because another one of their own was murdered on videotape, and up until a few minutes ago, the cop hadn't even been arrested. Apparently, it has been confirmed now. Jill Colvin reporting that Chauvin has been arrested. They're illegitimate. It's an explicitly white identitarian movement. That's what it is. It is a fascist white nationalist movement. That's why they throw the identity politics stuff in our face constantly. It is just projection. It is a white nationalist movement. That's what it is. And they want racial violence. When Trump promises that, it's not some risky gamut. It's a sure thing. It's a slam dunk for him. This is what his fans want. That's why they're backing him up today about that.
I know. Look, I'm terrified about what the future holds for this country. I just am. And I don't see, look, this is anecdotal. It's on social media. So I don't want anyone to think that this is necessarily indicative of what we're seeing overall from the centrist Democrat response. But they're talking about how this is the progressives' fault. Like on Twitter, like I've seen threads about that. And all I can do when I see stuff like that is think about what transpired in 2016 and how differently things would have been if the DNC wasn't so obsessed with putting this entitled woman, Hillary Clinton, in the position of the Democratic candidate. You know what I'm saying? Like, what would happen if we had a real free and fair Democratic primary in 2016 without the DNC playing any of the games that it played? And, who knows? Maybe it would have been Hillary Clinton, but there's a good chance that the Democratic nominee could have been Bernie Sanders, and he had a much better chance of beating the fascists that we have in office right now. And we could have been in a completely different situation. I mean, we could have been having a debate right now about whether it makes sense to build, 100 million units for affordable housing, or maybe we should start off slow with 50 million units. Yeah. Like, that's the kind of debate I imagined we'd be having. But instead, people continue to be mutilated, brutalized, and murdered in our country, with a significant portion of our politicians defending that behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got a few more aspects of the tweets. I want to give you one because there's a name that has come up in the past few days for good reason. I want to give you Amy Klobuchar's response. She tweeted, in response to Trump's shooting tweet, that's in her tweet, "Our community is hurting for justice and charges for George Floyd. Vandalism must stop, but we need systemic reform, like a full-scale DOJ pattern practice investigation of Minneapolis police, like I've called for. So much better than a tweet." Yeah, that would be better than Trump's tweet. But you know what would have been better than your tweet? If you had gotten that cop off the street back when you had the power to do that and chose not to. So this is an interesting way to cover for yourself. But there is every reason to believe that if she had taken her job seriously back then, we wouldn't have had any of this. We wouldn't have had the murder, wouldn't have had anything from it.
It is incredible how much your views change once you're auditioning for a position of power, like a VP pick for a Democratic presidential candidate. All of a sudden, you believe in justice. Mm-hmm. Strange.
That is weird.
I think I think real leaders show leadership and strength in times when their ideas and their policy proposals might be unpopular, right? A real leader does what's right in a moment when it's unpopular to do so because they know it's the right thing to do. We don't have very many of those politicians. Not many of them exist, right? So it's not just about Amy Klobuchar. I just want people to start thinking about the motivations and intentions behind what politicians do and say. Yeah. Because, John, you and I know a lot about the grifters in media, but the political world is chock full of them, right? And it's all about their own, personal ambitions and where they're going to go next in their careers. It's not about doing right in representing the best interests of Americans and their constituents. It's just not. And we need to call them out when we see it, and we need to do so aggressively.
I couldn't agree more. I'd pulled, in response to Trump saying that we should shoot people who are doing the looting, I'd pulled a 1985 Supreme Court decision that lays out in great detail why it is not acceptable for the police to gun down people who are getting away for nonviolent crimes. But then I realized I'm going to save myself some time. If you need to have that explained to you, get off my channel. Don't watch my videos. I don't want your support. It's on its face not acceptable. That's all that I'm going to say about it. We're going to have more on this in just a second. I do want to read a little bit of some of the comments we've been getting in Super Chat and Twitch and Twitter because you guys have been both incredibly vocal and also incredibly supportive. So thank you. Angel Salas said, TDR with Ana Kasparian featuring John. I see how it is.
Wait, why? How is it?
That, like, if you're on the show, it's your show, I'm a guest on it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
TDR. That's great. Yeah, there's a coup and she's already won. JHWH Goodall says, did you play Witcher 3? Greatest game ever. I did play Witcher 3 and it was great. I'm not going to say too much more because it'll drive Anna crazy, but it was a very good game. Matthias says, insane side note to the news. Oh, Matthias, thank you for the super chat. The comment that you make, it will come up later in the show, so stay tuned on that. Rob Shively says, I like giving you money because you pronounce my name properly. Just don't let Anna read this. JK, love you both. You keep me sane these days. Well, thank you, Rob.
Wait, what was the name again? Say it again.
Rob Shively.
Have I said his name incorrectly?
That's
and
the
if
implication.
So, I apologize.
That's the implication.
Sorry about that.
Patricia Perez says, my dad filed for UEI in California and still hasn't been paid, even though he's been awarded it. 2 months, still nothing. I have a close family member who went through the same experience. It took 2 months before finally the first thing came in. And thankfully, we're in a position where we were able to weather that, but obviously a lot of people are not. Tony Fedora says, Anna's on TDR today? Hit the like button. F that. Where's the love button for me to hit? That's nice.
You have such a nice audience. I mean,
they're the best.
Look, you have, okay, so I have my computer screen next to me and then my camera in front of me, obviously. And TYT's main show never has the comments up as we're doing the show for a reason. But your audience is so nice and so like their point of view and their perspectives and their comments are smart and kind. Thank you. I really appreciate your audience. They're awesome.
Thank you. I do too. I don't know what I would have done this entire thing if they had not been that awesome. Zyros, thank you for the super chat. Let's see. Amanda says, can we please get a TYT Johnny Pie Anyways shirt made someday? I don't think that I say that often, but I have had a few comments.
You do. You totally do.
Anyways.
But I love it. It's great. Yes, exactly.
The shirt wouldn't make any sense. I submitted my own mock-up for a shirt that was not explicitly about me. It was just TYT in big bubble letters, and the letters were a sort of pie crust texture, and she never made that shirt. So, message Tamara. Anyway, Jay, thank you for the keep it up. Very nice of you. Knowledge Gizmo says, looting equals shooting really now? How fascist can you get? About that fascist. A Goddess says, I greatly appreciate you both. We are all in this together. Thank you, A Goddess. I appreciate that. And Jermaine, thank you for your super chat as well. Let me check. Oh my God, there's been a lot of super chats. Thank you. Gabby sent in a tweet at hashtag TDR Live that said, "It's not Friday, it's Casper Day. I can't wait to see who her garbage person of the week is. A rich man crying, maybe? Maybe, we'll see. Maybe crying soon." And let's see, on Twitch, because this show and basically all of TYT's content is now available streaming on twitch.tv/TYT. Pixelated Bunny said, "How blind are people not to be able to see the similarities of what is happening here in America to the parallels in Germany during the 1930s? How has our education system failed us that badly?" That is a great conversation, a long conversation. I wonder, I was thinking yesterday, because I went to grad school in Texas where a lot of the like history and textbooks are made, and they're all made ridiculously slanted to the right wing. Are there like left-wingers making counter textbooks? I know it would be super impossible to get through any of these state legislatures, but I think it would be a worthy exercise. Anyway, and
part of the problem is school boards tend to be very conservative, and they're the ones who get to decide which textbooks are used. I mean, many people don't know about what happened to what's referred to as the Black Wall Street. It was a community of Black business leaders, incredibly successful, and it was completely destroyed with brutal violence by racists, white racists. Yeah, and people don't know about that history. Yeah.
And by the way, one of the producers put this in the document. We've been showing some of the old photos from the Sweet 16 party. What a great photo Cassie took. Oh,
I know. Buds. She's so talented. We're really lucky to have her working with us. And, you know, she does mostly video editing, but her talent like knows no bounds. Like her
100%.
Her portraits of us are incredible. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. And by the way, we had a tweet from Jess Ortega rocking the Radical Woman shirt. Thank you, Jess. Looks great. Okay, with that, there is a lot of other news to get to, so why don't we jump back into that? We're going to talk a little bit more about the tweets and the fallout and reaction from that. Donald Trump's tweets that seem to indicate that he supports the shooting of protesters in Minneapolis received the rare sort of hiding on Twitter. Take a look at this. Now, it took hours and 100,000 plus retweets before this happened, and they're not actually gone, those tweets. You can still click on the view, but it does indicate that this tweet violated the Twitter rules about glorifying violence. And they had been up long enough that I actually tweeted at Twitter, so can you make threats of violence or not on Twitter? Because apparently you can. So now you sort of can, but it will be sort of hidden. And they released a statement saying that they've placed a public interest notice on this. They're worried that it might inspire people to commit violent acts. So it is not even censorship because it's still there. It's just sort of hidden. This is a little bit stronger than like the fact checking that they did just a couple of days ago. Anna, what do you think about this move from Twitter?
I'm actually kind of shocked that Twitter did this, especially following Trump's unbelievable temper tantrum when they added a fact-checking link to his misinformation about mail-in voting. I mean, Trump signed a ridiculous executive order trying to exert more federal government power over social media platforms because he wanted to retaliate politically against Twitter. And I'm actually happy to see that they are undeterred and they decided to do something. Now, I agree with you. I would like to see more. Donald Trump has a history of inciting violence, and he does so by using this platform where he has tens of millions of followers. So if you truly think that it's inciting violence, number one, even if this was a government entity, if Twitter was a government entity, it would not be protected speech. Inciting violence is not protected under the First Amendment, number one. But since it's a private company, they can do what they want. They could literally take those tweets down. And I know some people are concerned about, what this would mean. It could be a slippery slope when it comes to others who are actually truly sharing their opinions and practicing free speech on the platform. But honestly, I think when it comes to Trump and when it comes to the examples of him inciting violence, it's a pretty clear-cut case. He is encouraging people to shoot these protesters. He wants the violence to escalate. And it's dangerous. And honestly, if I had any power, if I worked at Twitter, I would just take the tweet down.
Yeah, I would too. And again, I feel like we say this every day on the show now. in the hopes that perhaps a classic liberal will watch and learn something. Your right to free speech, the First Amendment protects you from the government infringing on your speech. As a random example, if, like, the government was to shut down a social media company because they don't like its practices, that might be a First Amendment violation. For instance, if the cops arrest journalists just doing their job, that might be a violation of the First Amendment.
Right.
Them putting a fact check on a tweet or not wanting to be party to incitement to violence, that's their right as a private company, a private entity, to not be involved in stochastic terrorism. It's not a violation of the First Amendment right.
What's really incredible about Trump's executive order against social media platforms is that based on the standards in his executive order, Twitter as a company could be held accountable for inciting violence based on what a user has posted on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
So Trump incites violence on this platform literally on the same day that he signs this executive order indicating that these social media platforms can face consequences if there's anything questionable posted on their platform. And then he posts the questionable thing on the platform.
Yeah.
You can't incite violence. That is not protected speech in any way. So I would be shocked if he really understood what was in the executive order he signed. It was very clearly a strategy to retaliate politically because Twitter had the audacity to finally correct him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been using that platform to spread misinformation since the very beginning of his account. But, you know, I think that, listen, I called Jack Dorsey a coward this week. And I just think that he's been watching TYT and he realizes that he can't be a coward. He needs to do something. And so maybe he's finally standing up and doing something about this. I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm not saying it's because of me. I'm just saying.
Well, you don't have to, because it's obviously because of you. Anyways, yeah.
Anyways.
He still deserves a ton of criticism for basically everything Twitter has done as long as it's been around. He does, however, benefit from standing side by side with Zuckerberg this week. I mean, that's going to make anyone look good by comparison. Now, really fast, while those tweets had that sort of cover put on them, he then had the official White House Twitter account tweet out the shooters looters thing, which, by the way, just really fast, I know you all probably know this by now, but it's a callback to Walter Headley in 1967, a racist police chief of Miami who wanted to gun down black gangs and things like that. I don't know if Trump knows that. I'm assuming someone told him that because white supremacists are probably on the lookout for that sort of reference. Or maybe Trump just happens to think like a 1960s racist police chief. I don't know. One of those two things is going on. That White House tweet, though, also got the same sort of cover label thing. As long as it is possible, he is going to push it out to as many millions of people as possible, knowing that there are enough crazy, violent, racist people in this country who worship at the altar of the red hat. If you think that one or two of them aren't just itching to start shooting people, and then just claim that it was protesters that were doing the shoot. Like, if 5 protesters were gunned down today, and it was obvious that an outside militia member had done it, what do you think, like, Tucker Carlson's going to have, like, an awakening, and he's going to realize what he hath wrought? No, they're just going to provide cover. They're providing cover right now. We're going to give you the cover in a moment, actually, but I'm worried about what tonight will bring, basically.
Of course, everyone should be worried. Anyone with a conscience, anyone who actually genuinely values human life should be concerned. But, you know, of course, Tucker Carlson isn't going to have an awakening. His material interests prevent him from having an awakening. Don't make a mistake about it. Many of the conservative commentators that we hear from say the things they say, knowing in a lot of cases that it's wrong and it could lead to death, destruction, murder.
Yeah.
Because they get to collect that, you know, multi-million-dollar salary every year, spitting out nonsense propaganda that further divides this country. That's what Tucker Carlson is. And by the way, I don't deny that he's deeply racist. I have no doubt that he is. But I think even when he sees instances where people of color are being unjustly, it's always unjust, but being brutalized by police, he's not going to tell the truth.
Yeah.
If he tells the truth, he's going to lose his material interest. That's at the heart of what we're seeing in the media right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I could go on for a while about that. Okay, but there are some other important things we have to get to, so let's jump to that. This morning, a CNN reporter was arrested on the streets of Minneapolis, just doing their job live on TV. Take a look at this.
The state patrol unit that was advancing up the street, saying and scattering the protesters at that point for people to clear the area. And so we walked away. I'm sorry? You're under arrest. Okay. Do you mind telling me why I'm under arrest, sir? Why am I under arrest, sir?
Officer, he's on there right now.
Okay.
You are arrested and live on CNN. We told you before that we are with CNN.
If you're just tuning in, you are watching our correspondent, Omar Jimenez, being arrested by state police in Minnesota. We're not sure why our correspondent is being arrested.
Hang on 1 second, Allison. Let's listen into what these officers are saying. That is an American television reporter, Omar Jimenez, being led away by police officers. He clearly identified himself as...
Omar was just arrested. I believe they're about to, we're all about to be arrested. That's our producer.
Our CNN producer is being...
I'm probably going to be taken in a minute.
Our CNN camera crew and our producer are being arrested right now on live television in handcuffs.
I've never... We're going to keep on listening to this camera. Josh Campbell, who I believe is not yet under arrest. Hang on 1 second. All right. The police are now saying they're being arrested because they were told to move and didn't. Now, we were on the air the whole time.
Okay, so two references there. One to a white CNN reporter who was about a block away, who was not arrested. No idea why he wasn't, and Omar was, except for the obvious reason. And also the lie there, that there was a tweet by the police station saying that they had arrested the reporters for refusing to move when they were asked to. You just watched the interaction. It is a lie. They apparently are unfamiliar in the Minneapolis PD with how cameras work and how live TV broadcasts work. But you just saw it. Reporters doing their job and being hauled away by the police.
He got arrested in the middle of his live hit.
That's insane.
In the middle of his live hit. Like, there's no question he's a reporter. And he's literally in that moment specifically reporting on what's happening on the scene. The Minneapolis police violated freedom of press. That is a serious constitutional violation. And I'm sorry to go off on this tangent, but I really can't help myself. Because when we talk about media grifters, the first person I think about when I see a story like that is a little bitch ass like Dave Rubin. Where are you, Dave Rubin? Are you concerned about free speech rights? Mm-hmm. Or are you only concerned when you want to make yourself out to be a victim and slang your ridiculous book, which no one cared about? Which is why you felt the need to literally burn your own book to make a point. Yeah. Like, Dave Rubin titled his book, "Don't Burn This Book," because he thought liberals cared enough, that people on the left cared enough about his book to burn it. And then when he saw that no one cared, nobody cared to do any of that because he's irrelevant and incredibly embarrassingly stupid, he decided to burn it himself because he's not a victim. The real victims in this country are the actual truth tellers, okay, who struggle to make ends meet with independent media. He's the Koch brothers bitch boy, and he runs around, okay, acting as though he's some sort of victim while reporters are getting arrested on the scene as they're doing their jobs.
Yeah.
While an actual constitutional violation is happening before our very eyes. Where are you, Dave Rubin? Where's your little bitch ass? Little punk. Yeah. I'm sick of these grifters because they enable the type of deterioration we're seeing before our very eyes for their own profit. That's all it's about, 100%. And I'm so unbearably done with it. Like, I can't stand it.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. While they go around arguing that other people are putting themselves in the oppression Olympics, specifically people of color, by the way. He then goes around pretending like he's a real victim while he's living in a $1.5 million home in a super affluent part of town. You're not a victim, okay? And if you actually care about freedom of speech, why don't you speak up right now?
Yep.
But he won't, because he's a little bitch ass.
Yeah, no. He tweeted that the Target that burned, his book was out of stock, so it couldn't burn there because he published that book and then has just been desperately horny to find somebody burn it, and he's been unable to, and that's frustrating to him. Yeah, if you are going to try to make your whole career about caring about the First Amendment, then in a 24-hour period where a president threatens to shut down a social media network, a company that he doesn't like, and then reporters get hauled off the streets, I think that the bar is pretty low, but you have to send a tweet about those things at a bare minimum. You have to pretend that you care. If you can't do that, we don't have to pretend to have any respect for you. And by the way,
he's a lazy, incompetent, grifting fraud. That's who Dave Rubin is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so transparent about it that even the right wing laughs at him.
Yeah.
Okay. And look, I know I'm focusing on Dave Rubin because that's like a particularly egregious case, right? But it's about Dave Rubin's a symptom of a bigger problem that we're seeing in the media right now. People say shit that they don't believe, excuse my language, because they make money off of it.
100%.
Because they'll get right-wing funding for it. That's why they do it. So be super skeptical about these disingenuous people who have further promoted the type of violence and the type of, police militarized actions that we're seeing right now every day. People like Dave Rubin have been either complicit in it or they have encouraged and enabled it.
Yeah.
And that's a huge problem. We need actual journalism in America. Right now it's lacking. Real journalists have been laid off in droves. And I can't stand hearing someone who's enjoying his wealth right now put himself in a position of victimhood. What a fraud. Pathetic.
100%. He's the most obvious and the most laughable. But there are others. Anytime you raise concerns about the assault on the press over the past few years, you get attacked. Like, why are you freaking out about this? It's all the same. It's all the same as it's ever been. So if you wondered how America would slide into failed state territory, it would be with a small percentage of media commenters just saying, no, just lay down. Just accept it. Just accept the fascism, accept the racism, accept the violence, accept the media being dissolved, accept all of that. We're not going to. It's as simple as that. And really fast, I want to mention, by the way, the reason I am so shocked by this story and feel like it's worthy of coverage is not just that a reporter got arrested. Independent reporters get arrested constantly. It happens all the time. This is no worse than that, but it is more brazen than normal. They will haul off a YouTube, political news person or something like that and not bat an eye at it. Hauling off CNN reporters during a live hit gives us a look into the frame of mind of the police. And by the way, people are saying that it wasn't the Minneapolis police, it was the state police. I apologize if that's true. But they apparently believe, if you believe that you can do that, what else do you believe about the status of your power and your willingness to use it? So this is a cautionary tale there. They were eventually released after it was confirmed that they were media. That's BS. They confirmed it live on TV in front of you. You saw it happen. Anyway, let's read just a few super chats. Obviously, most of the show, it turns out, is going to be about this. I think understandably so. I think everyone watching sort of gets why that's the case. But let's read a few of these super chats. Simo says, how can you guys do the news every day and still stay sane? I only started really paying attention to the news 6 months ago, and being aware of everything sucks. It's taking a toll on my mental health. Yes.
Yeah, it's hard. And I was having a conversation with a neighbor of mine, and he made a really good point because I feel it, right? If I don't feel like my family life or all the things in my personal life are literally perfect, I lose it because when my mom was in the hospital, because we all need an opportunity to unplug and decompress. And when you don't have a place to go where there's like some stability and some calm, you start to lose it. It's hard. When you do this job because you actually care about the things you talk about, it's an incredibly difficult job to do. And then you add the difficulty of remaining sustainable in independent media. I don't want to go work for a major network. I just don't, because I value the things that we talk about. I value freedom of expression, and we get an unlimited amount of that at TYT, and I'm so grateful. You know, some people might be critical of Cenk's perspectives on things, but one thing that I want you guys to really understand and know is that he values everyone's voice, and he never retaliates against anything we have to say, even if we disagree with him 100% on something. That is nearly impossible to find in journalism in America.
Yeah.
And so that's why I've always stayed at TYT, because I value that freedom. But along with that, you know, comes the, you know, daily brutal emotions associated with covering these stories.
Yeah. Yeah, and being constantly attacked by virtually everyone, and knowing that because we're not on the right wing, we're not going to be just handed millions of dollars by billionaires. It's a struggle. So, by the way, I aim to read every super chat each day, but I know that we're only going to have Anna for so much longer, so I'm going to prioritize reading ones addressed to her so that she'll see them. Zane says, darn, I'm late to Anna's first show. Woohoo, Anna! So, thank you. The Sing in the Left says, thank you, TYT. I have been a lifelong Democrat. I was a sheep following the MSM, knowing it didn't feel right. Watching this show among other progressive shows, I know I'm a progressive. Salty Anna, my fave.
Yeah, there's a lot of salt lately.
Zane, the next one says, Zane says, Anna should assault the garbage. I think that she has. That's funny. Let's see. I just want to make sure I saw a few. Roderick Williams says, what Anna has been referring to is the Thomas theorem. If men define situations as real, they are real in their consequences. In other words, the interpretation of a situation causes the action. Interesting. Thank you. Let's see. There was one or two more. Jamar says, I love this show with Anna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, really fast. Bear with me. Thank you to everyone who let us know about the police officer being arrested, by the way. Michelle says, hey, Anna, not to sound too mushy, but you inspire me to stay a strong woman and have a voice. I am scared we may end up like The Handmaid's Tale. Is that one targeted?
We won't if we fight. And, you know, it's about time people woke up and fought back against what we've been experiencing in this country, not just during the Trump administration. I mean, the Trump administration accelerated everything. But when we see injustice done to others, we need to speak up, because we need to undo this individualism conditioning in America, where we think that it's all about us and it's not about the community of Americans. We need to stand up for one another.
Yeah. A few more. Lily Umper says, I love Salty Anna. Thank you, Lily Umper. Laura Shin says, go Anna, go. Love when Anna goes off. It helps me calm down. Thank you for your service, TYT. Thank you, Laura. And Strayek says, Anna, we love you. Please, but please don't bring up D. Rube. Acknowledging grifters just puts money in their pockets. Look, it's a balance. If something angers us, we're going to talk about it. And by the way, Courtney Calderon says, this is why it's TDR with Anna, with guest John. Thanks, Courtney. Very nice. You know I invited her on the show. Doesn't have to be a competition. And no, I'm not going to ask you to vote. Anyway, okay, so here's the thing. We don't have much more time, so I think that we're going to have to jump ahead to the segment that we're contractually not allowed to end a Friday show without getting to. So, Anna, prepare yourself.
Okay, I'm doing that.
It's Friday, and thus it's time to take out the trash. Thank you, as always, to Brett for making that intro. Anna, because you're the guest today, I'm going to give you first go. Who's going in the garbage today?
There were many candidates for the garbage today, but one person who really got under my skin is a mayor from Mississippi. His name is Hal Marks, and he felt the need to share his incredibly hateful and just hateful, dumb commentary on what happened to George Floyd. Now, make no mistake about it, we've all seen that horrific video of George Floyd getting murdered by a cop in Minneapolis. The cop kneeled on George Floyd's neck for several minutes until Floyd died. And what did Hal Marks, the mayor of Petal, Mississippi, have to say about it? He said, if you are talking about the incident in Minneapolis, I didn't see anything unreasonable. If you can say you can't breathe, you're breathing. Most likely that man died of overdose or heart attack. Video doesn't show his resistance that got him in that position. So let me just say, number one, we have now seen multiple pieces of surveillance before the cop decided to kneel on his neck. And in no instance did George Floyd resist arrest. That was completely made up by the cops. Secondly, how do you watch that video and argue that he was able to breathe? At one point, he was begging for his mother. And that's the part where, like, I just lose it every time I see it or even think about it.
Yeah.
Hal Marks, along with many other lawmakers in Mississippi, is a white supremacist who loves seeing this type of state-sponsored violence against people of color. That's who Hal Marks is, and he deserves to be in the garbage.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm the only one with the trash, so in your honor, I have Hal Marks here. I don't know how visible he is, but he's not going to be visible for long because he's going in the garbage. By the way, we also have he thought his point was so poignant that he posted it again. If you can talk, you can breathe. Think about that before rushing to judgment. Maybe think at all before posting trash, would be my suggestion. Okay, Anna, great garbage person. Definitely exemplifying American garbage. But now it's my turn. For my garbage person of the week, look, considering what's going on in the country, I would feel extremely uncomfortable choosing anyone other than the police in Minneapolis. So that. Put it down in the history books. That's my choice. But we also have talked at length so far on the show today. So I'm going to give you another one. This is sort of my runner-up for the day. But I'm going to be suggesting these macaque monkeys as garbage creatures of the week. And you might think, wait, John, why are you attacking monkeys? What do they have to do with anything? And don't you love nature? I do. But we are suffering in the world right now thanks to this pandemic. Many people have died, and we've got monkeys running around trying to make it worse. According to local media in Delhi, India, a gang of macaque monkeys snatched COVID-19 blood test samples that had been taken from 3 patients and fled with them. One of the monkeys was later spotted in a tree chewing one of the sample collection kits, the Times of India reported, adding that test samples from the patients had to be taken again. Now, we don't know for sure if those samples were positive for coronavirus, but we do know that these macaque monkeys are rampaging through parts of Delhi, snatching food and mobile telephones, breaking into homes, terrorizing people. You might recall that on Trump's trip to Delhi, they had to have armed guards in case they attacked. We are already in the apocalypse. We don't need specific callbacks to apocalyptic movies like Outbreak, where suddenly monkeys are getting involved. So monkeys, just back off and let us deal with this situation. We'll get to you eventually.
Yeah, stop monkeying around.
How long had you been waiting to add that?
A few minutes.
A few, but it was good. No, those monkeys are garbage, by the way. Monkeys, I'm done with you. You know, you're funny. I like it. The throwing the poop is hilarious. But now you get thrown into the trash. Okay, so I want to add on the community choice for today because, of course, every week we put up a post on the TDR community tab with your recommendations. And here's how the voting went this week. With 16,000 votes, the Minneapolis PD have 25% of the vote. Far eclipsing number 2, Trump at 8%, Kayleigh McEnany and Amy Cooper at just a few percentage points. And let me just say, when Trump is on the choices, Trump wins. That is a law of garbage people. And yet the Minneapolis PD destroyed him this week, and understandably so. So the community and me in agreement today. Also wanted to let you know, feel free to tweet us. Do you want an all of the above, or do you think that pollutes the results? Let us know in the chat. One final thing. I did want to... Garbage People is like my favorite time of the week, but it is an obviously inherently negative thing, and people have been saying you should have something to balance it out, something positive, and we're working on that. But I do have one quick suggestion for something positive. Now, you're going to want to hold because it's not immediately positive, but I want to read this post that I saw someone tweeted out from the Gandhi Mahal restaurant in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I'm going to try to get through this. When I first read it, kind of teared up a little bit. I'm going to try not to do that right now, but here's what it says. Hello, everyone. Thank you to everyone for checking in. Sadly, Gandhi Mahal has caught fire and has been damaged. We won't lose hope, though. I am so grateful to our neighbors who did their best to stand guard and protect Gandhi Mahal. Your efforts won't go unrecognized. Don't worry about us. We will rebuild and we will recover. So that's all fine, but this is where it gets to the point that I care about. This is Hafsa, Ruhel's daughter, writing, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to get through this. As I am sitting next to my dad watching the news, I hear him say on the phone, "Let my building burn. Justice needs to be served. Put those officers in jail."
Wow.
I mean, that's amazing. That he understands, he gets it, and that is really something. Yeah, our country is filled with some truly awful people, but not all of it. And there are some great people. Yeah, no, I wasn't able to get through it without tearing up. But anyway, thank you to him. And when that restaurant is rebuilt, please go to it. I hear it's delicious, and so you can go for that reason, or you can go for the fairly obvious reasons based on what we just read. Whew. Anyway, Anna, thank you for joining us. Great to have you on the show. Anytime you're available, there's a spot for you.
Thank you. I have a lot of fun doing this show, even in my moments of rage. It's like therapy. So thank you for indulging me.
Thank you.
And I'll see you soon.
Okay. See you soon. Have a good day. Okay, everyone. We're gonna catch up on a bit of the super chat and all of that people have been sending in. I'm gonna try to get it together. I see a lot of no all of the above. We might try doing no all of the above and get people to actually vote. Give 5 choices next time. We'll see. But anyway, launching back into the super chat, Binksbox had said, when the lawmakers and the law enforcers work together to oppress and murder you, there's nothing left to do but riot. We stand with Minneapolis. Thank you, Binksbox. Peggy Webb says, first extended discussion with a COVID denier. Please send Jack Daniels because I want to do 1 shot for every time she says evil Dems, 2 for Bill Gates, and 3 for my personal freedom. Peggy, drink responsibly. Luis Lamp says, mental health is a huge piece of sanity. Stay as informed as you can, help who you can, and do what you can. We all have limits, and that's okay. I could not agree more. Danny Collison says, this guy is a cop. He was ID'd by his ex-fiancée, talking about the Umbrella Man we talked about. I can't say for sure, but it is definitely suspicious. Nappy-headed Nose says, we heard about the same type of thing going on during Ferguson. Many said police were starting fires. Yes. Whether intentionally or perhaps also by accident. You can't throw flares around all over the place and, flashbangs and all of this stuff without collateral property damage. Rob Shively says, allies like you give me hope. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rob, as always. Mink says, sending love from Australia. Minks, I'm sending love to Australia. Thank you. Zane says, I watched Unicorn Riot live at the riots, OMFG. Yes, they've long done a great job in broadcasting live from these sorts of places. The Vertical Dave says, keep up the good work. Honest and balanced reporting seems rare as rocking horse-s these days. I've never heard that expression before, but I like it. Miss M. Dip says, never let them silence you. Grieving for the U.S. from a country where brutality has been the norm. I never imagined it was the case for you too. Thank you. Binksbox says, Ken Clips confirmed that the officer Chauvin has been arrested. If Ken Clips says it, you can take that to the bank. That's the Ken Clips guarantee. Connie Peterson says, the news is horrible, but your show keeps me sane. Love you both. Thank you, Connie. Franklin says, Johnny and Anna, we're your #1 fana. We think you're cooler than Rosanna Dana. We the people need each other's backs and remove and replace the fascist hacks. Seek peace this weekend, beloveds. Thank you, Franklin. As always, The show is not complete until we have your poetry. Andre says, Trump promised once fire and fury, but forgot to specify it was aimed at America. Whew. Cindy, thank you for the keep it up. Lazarus says, I love you guys. Thank you, Lazarus. Appreciate that. Justin Matthews says, happy Friday. John and Anna, please don't lose hope. We're trying not to. We're in this together. Me and Anna and all of you. Adam Knight says, real change begins with real pushback. Exactly. Chub Toad says, sorry I joined late. Can you start over? Oh, sorry. No, I didn't know. Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the No, we're not going to do that, but thank you. Colin says, Twitter is reviewing the president's Twitter for TOS violation ATM. The looting equals shooting tweet is blocked. Yes. Thank you for letting me know. Koranik, thank you. Luis Lamp says, peace be with you as now I accept your protest. That's good. Michelle says, you guys are on fire today. Excellent points. My people are tired and I appreciate your alliance. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate your support as well. Green Lover says, much love and peace to you both. Thank you. Ghost Dog says, it's Johnny 3.14. That's good. Dave Pickett says, anyway is 100%, and with that, all John's frequent phrases. Love it. Anyway, I didn't realize any of those were, but I'm learning every day with what I say without realizing. Party of Reason says, everybody check out progressivenewsdaily.net. Thank you, Party. And Edward as well. Academic, thank you for your Fox. Charlie says, progressives need to run for school boards 100%. At all levels. Lil Yumper says, instead of giving people more money to help them live, let's do something to stop the censoring of conservative voices on Twitter. Yeah, Ted Cruz has got his priorities in order. Colin Gunter says, my bad, was excited, love the show, you both are amazing, thank you. And Shauna as well. Wyatt says, thank you for always keeping us informed. Thank you, Wyatt. And MM and others who said that Derek Chauvin had been arrested. I do appreciate that. It's great to get live news myself during the show. Andre says, Trump only makes sense if you understand that all of his actions are motivated by violence and vengeance. He makes it pretty obvious. Zane says, Twitter, why not just ban his lying butt and be done? I don't think they're ever going to do that, but that would be a day in the news. Dana says, Bo of the Fifth Column has a collection of history books and said it was very interesting to read the history from the point of view of other countries. That's a great point. Arenda says, so great to wake up to some sanity. Thank you, John and Anna, for being a beacon in the darkness that is encroaching more each day. Anna, what a hero. That's funny, a reference. Arenda, thank you. Carla says, you mentioned Pennsylvania COVID deaths yesterday. As of mid-May, personal care and nursing homes accounted for 2/3 of deaths statewide. There's a problem in these facilities not being addressed. Yes. 100%. Brian says, love the work you guys do at TYT. Thank you, Brian. Ginger says, 7 protesters were gunned down last night in Louisville, Kentucky. Yes, I believe they're going to be talking about that on the main show today. There were other protests as well, including that one that had that violence too. Kenneth says, people are blind to the racism and oppression we experience every day. I wish they could spend a few days in our bodies. That would be helpful. Andre says, Trump was watching CNN and wanted to send a message to both black people and CNN. Message received. Green Lover says, so unreal, WTF. I'm assuming that's about the monkeys. Possibly not, but thank you. Chub Toad was the one that let me know that MPD wasn't the ones that arrested CNN. It was state cops. Thank you. Andre says, North Comerica. Thank you. Man, you guys have been incredibly super chatty. F. Harvey saying, looting, most used and effective communication device used by law enforcement to push a message in the media for the population to turn against protesters in France. Don't let that happen in the U.S. It's happening, but thank you. Gregory says, Benjamin Franklin warned against this kind of thing. I think the attacks against the press is what he's referring to. Thank you. Lawrence says, information is key. Keep telling the truth so that people don't forget. We're going to try. As long as we're able to, legally and mentally. If Harvey says, keep your energy. We're running a marathon against manufactured consent. Love my TYT fam. Thank you. We're trying. And Anna helps. Zane says, sadly, how many protesters are going to be sick after? It's another consideration. Tempo Dan says, this is why 420 is a thing. It's funny. Sage and Candle, breaking. He has been arrested. Thank you for that heads up. Punch Drunk Savage, appreciate the super chat. Thank you. Academic Ant says, Don Lemon's impassioned truth-telling rant gave me shivers. Watch clip on YouTube. I saw his clip with Chris Cuomo. I'm not sure if that's the one you're referring to. Look, I obviously disagree with him on a lot, but he has had a number of those sorts of things. It's like the closest you really get on CNN to like independent media, honestly, is him sort of speaking from the heart from time to time. David Baker says, you both are great, so happy to see Anna on. Me too. The Angry Wombat with a big super chat saying, peaceful protests in solidarity with Minneapolis in Columbus, Ohio, were police attacked by by police with tear gas and pepper spray. Well, only weeks ago, an armed mob tried to swarm the state house because they couldn't get a haircut and no pepper spray. Yeah, the difference in both response from the police, but also from politicians, has been something. And honestly, while there have been, so we obviously have focused on the people attacking the protesters and implying that there should be violence, but there should also be support. And there has been from some, the obvious names, but there should be more. Yes, he says, Anna sledgehammer, workout gear, breaking ass. Yes. Danny Collison says, we're almost at 2K, so we should also get Charlie. Oh, that would be great. Oh, I should have asked for Charlie. I will provide you a dog in just a moment. Zane says, can we get some hateful mayoral Hal Mark cards? That's funny. It's great to have our own garbage people. Simo says, PS name is Turkish, so like Gemo, not Semo. Apologies, Gemo. Thank you for all you do. You really are the light in the dark. Don't know what I'd do without you guys. Thank you. And by the way, I just basically senked you. How people call Jank senk. I basically did the same thing, but thank you. Rowan says, thanks for continuing to fight the good fight. Thank you. Charles Massey says, Hal Marks, put down the fork and step away from the buffet. Okay, everybody. He's in the garbage. He's been hit. Shelby, thank you. Tori says, that was worthy of a super chat. I'm assuming that's the happy thing at the last. Made me feel better. Sows says, MVP's the week. Thank you. Maybe. Benjamin says, do YouTube comment voting allow for ranked choice? No, as far as I know it doesn't, but that would be cool. Courtney says, love you, John. Great Friday show. I think in reference to her last super chat. Thank you, Courtney. Army of One says, finally got around to donating the TYT fund. Thanks, guys. Thank you. And everybody, there's just days left. If you can provide support, and I love that you all are to the channel through the super chats. If you can provide support to the network, go to tyt.com/go. Much appreciated. Valerie Jones says, to tack on to Anna's monkeying around comment, tell her I have a better one, so she should simian in a few minutes. Nice. Oh God, how many monkey jokes are there going to be? Libby says, can we talk about how the same man who tweeted when the looting starts, the shooting starts, is the leader of the pro-life party? Yes, we're going to continue to point out that hypocrisy, even though we all understand it doesn't matter anymore. They don't care. They're hypocrites and they accept that. But we're going to do it because it's right. Zane says, tomorrow's my 40th birthday. Zane, happy pre-birthday. We won't be live, but happy birthday. And when we come back on Monday, everyone, save the happy birthdays for Zane. Heather Wiley says, love your show. I'm a new member. Thank you, Heather. Appreciate that. And thank you for becoming a member. Michael says, Chauvin charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter. That's interesting, the way they're going with that. But something. We'll have updates. The main show will probably have full information on that. Ida says, keep up the good work. America's in danger. We want our country back. 100%. Just everybody, thank you. So one of the producers put a comment, 2 dogs. I don't think I can provide 2 dogs. Hold on. Are we at... Here's what I'm going to do. I have an idea. Let me just look to see. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Okay, I am going to end the show, and then I'm going to come back. And I'm going to hopefully have the 3rd dog. Because we passed 2K, so I should do that. But I can't guarantee I can get her, and I can't guarantee I can lift her into view of the camera. But I'm going to try. So thank you, everybody, for watching us throughout the week. Really do appreciate it and the support you've given to us. It has been rough days, but hopefully, in the same way that you've helped me, hopefully I've helped you and our guests and Anna today have as well. I really do hope so. So everybody feel free to stay tuned for like 30 seconds. But for now, formally, the week is done. Go have some fun, relax for the weekend, and we will resume the watch on Monday. See you soon. Oh, the mic was muted. No. Well, she didn't have much to say anyway. I tried. But she's eating my dog's food now. Anyway, thank you, everybody. I'm tired. That's a heavy dog. That is a heavy dog. Okay, everybody, thank you. Have a good weekend.